Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're excited to have you at today's webinar. This will be an opportunity for us to learn from each other and grow together. For those who do not know me, my name is Jennifer Awoyo. I'm a sales manager with Dun& Bradstreet, and I'll be your moderator for today. The topic for today's webinar is unlocking the power of your business credibility to outshine competitors. And we're really excited to share what we know with you. Uh, but before we dive right in, let's go over some housekeeping items. Please note that all lines are muted by the organizer. Please submit your queries or concerns through the chat box window. You can also submit your questions through the Q&A box during the webinar. And the recording of the webinar will be sent after the webinar. Please reach out to info_Nigeria@dnbsim.com in case you would like to speak with the speaker directly after the webinar. On the agenda for today, we have the welcome address and introduction of housekeeping items. Then there will be a brief about Dun & Bradstreet, introduction of guest speaker, followed by the presentation on unlocking the power of your business credibility to outshine competitors. Then we'll talk briefly on the Dun & Bradstreet and Nigeria DRS experience, discussion and Q&A, then closing remarks. So our speaker for today is Dr. Akinpelu. He's a revered performance coach, development consultant, and author, recognized as a Forbes Coaches Council member. He is the CEO of Akinpelu Learning and Development, specializing in innovative consulting and training across various countries. With an impressive track record, he has consulted for top organizations and impacted over 700,000 people globally. His academic accolades include an MBA from the University of Lagos and PhDs in educational leadership and strategic leadership. Dr. Akinpelu is celebrated for his dynamic speaking engagements and significant contributions to educational reform and leadership development. But before I hand over to the speaker, let me quickly talk about Dun & Bradstreet. Dun & Bradstreet is the world's leading and most reliable provider of business information services, established in 1841, having almost 2 centuries of growing relationships through data. Dun & Bradstreet is ranked #1 on Fortune's list of most admired companies in financial data service category. Its global commercial database contains more than 550 million business records across 200 territories, 95 languages, and 181 currencies. Clients work with Dun & Bradstreet when they need to improve their business performance because, like I mentioned earlier, we have over 550 million business records. We are the world's largest commercial trade payments network. And 90% of the Fortune 500 and companies of all sizes around the world rely on Dun & Bradstreet to help grow and protect their business. They are also a leading source of hierarchy and linkage. In Nigeria, Dun & Bradstreet established the CRSC Credit Bureau in conjunction with other Tier 1 banks. We also designed and implemented risk management and rating models for CBN for other Tier 1 and Tier 2 banks. We conducted a rating exercise on MSMEs in Nigeria on behalf of Smidan, BOI, and Nexim Bank. We developed and maintained the NMPC NIPES portal, also developed a centralized vendor management portal for procurement managers. I'm currently building Africa's largest MSMEs database in readiness for the full implementation of AFTA. And now, without further ado, let's invite our speaker. Dr. Akin, over to you, please.
Good day, everybody. Thank you very much, Jennifer.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the privilege to be here and to. Can you hear me well? Is it good?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Go
Okay,
ahead.
fantastic. So thank you for having me here. It's such a beautiful time. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for the
So
management
I'm
of.
on mute. My camera is off. Well, you're welcome. Thank you, sir. Please go ahead. We can hear you.
Okay. Can I continue? All right. So can you still hear me? Okay. So if you can hear me, right into the chat box, let me know you can hear me. Okay. Thank you very much. Right. So it's good to be here. Thank you to the management of Dun& Bradstreet to do this today. And we'll be talking about unlocking the power of business credibility to outshine competitors. You know, I think that this is a very, very powerful topic that we should be able to work with together. So my name is Akinpelu. I'm a consultant. I'm a performance coach. And I love to transform organizations to become the best that they are, you know, and it's such a good time that we're talking about business credibility in the times that we are in. All right, so to start, what is business credibility? I think that's we're moving straight to business. So I start with this quote that says that a brand for a company is like a reputation for a person. You earn it by consistently delivering on your promises, and that's by the phenomenal founder of Amazon, which is Jeff Bezos. So that leads us to the next. So we want to talk about a few things about trustworthiness. We want to talk about a few things about how much you place value on people. You know, if you look at your critical value chain and you look at how you respond to customers, how you deal with your value chain, this is a very powerful reason to see why people will continue to do business with you. You cannot afford to allow the public have what is called a very, very bad sentiment about you. And so what is business credibility? That helps us to explain what that means. Now, business credibility is such an interesting, I think you're faster than me on the slide. Yeah, so business credibility is so important that it deals with one particular word called perception. So when we say perception, we're talking about perception from the place of trustworthiness, from the angle of reliability, from the angle of expertise held by stakeholders, including customers, investors, partners, and the general public about any specific business. You see that? Moving on. So when we talk about business credibility, now you're talking about a few ways to handle what they call perception. I'll give you an example of this man called Marcus Browning. Now, so Marcus Browning is always used to doing reviews about organizations. And so because he is a phenomenal influencer, he has such an effect on your business every time he speaks about your business. So I'll give you an example of what is happening lately. He did a review on a self-driving car, which is like a physical, he did with an SUV, you know, and it was a physical electric review, you know, and he said something very funny about that physical Ocean SUV. And guess what? He had 4.5 million people listening to him at the same time. Now that company is at the point of bankruptcy. So if he made the statement earlier, on the 16th of February, just 2 days after, the company had lost 16%. As of the 21st of February, they had lost 26%. Now the company is looking at what is called, I would target as how to restore their reputation. And so it's important that we build business credibility. And when we say credibility, it encompasses different factors. Number one is brand reputation. What is brand? I like to say brand simply means a promise kept. If you can keep your promise, that means you've got a brand reputation amongst many other definitions of branding. You have customer satisfaction. You can't overemphasize that. That you must learn to have like a post-sale analysis and connection with your customers to be sure that they are satisfied to the maximum. Industry expertise is something. ethical conduct. So you need to be ethical. Anybody who is building credibility in business must understand leadership and ethics. So ethical conduct is important. And the last one is financial stability. You want people to know that your financial is stable. So I give you a good example about that. Remember the Silicon Valley Bank that crashed, and a lot of startups lost their money inside that place. You want to be able to give a good financial stability stand to say that we are credible enough for the things that we do. Next slide. So moving on from there, why is business credibility important? Number one, it enhances customers' trust, a repeat purchase, loyalty, and referral. So there are certain companies that I deal with, not because they are the best, as it were. Many times it's because I have been loyal to them via repeat purchases. So credibility is important because it brings about repeat purchase. If people come once, it's okay. If they can come again and again, that means you're building loyalty. Number two, it's going to empower you to command premium pricing. Once you have credibility, people can pay for it. Number three, it will attract and retain top talent, enhancing your company's overall capabilities. So in looking or checking out a company's corporate capability, you want to check what is called the retention rate. You want to see the talents that are there. And people want to see the credibility because they can see the retainership in the top talent. Number four, it improves negotiation leverage with vendors and partners, securing favorable terms. Number five, it increases access to capital through easier loan approvals and attraction of investors. And number six, it enhances your brand reputation and differentiates you from competitors in a crowded market. So you have a free market where there are many competitors. And let me say this, if you are building credibility in your business, I would say that you should focus more on your customers than you're focusing on your competitors. Now, in marketing, focusing on your competitors, they're great, they're powerful, but you want to be able to focus on your customers. What are they saying? Hope what they're saying, you're putting it to work, because that's very important. I'm going to explain more about this as we go on. So moving on to the next slide. Now, let's talk about a case study. I want to talk to you about the Southwest airline, that has leveraged business credibility. And so I'm sure you know about them. Southwest Airline, they've consistently ranked high in customer satisfaction surveys and building a reputation for affordability, reliability, and friendly customer service. Now, this strong credibility has allowed them to maintain a loyal customer service base, even during industry challenges. Number two, attract and retain top talent in a competitive market. And how were they able to do that? Very simple. They were very structured in their credibility. They were not just emotional. Emotions were good, but they were very structured in how they were dealing with their customers. So it's something to go back home and check again. Next slide. Now, how do you build business credibility? So we've said so much about business credibility, talking about, are you trustworthy, as a person? What's the perception that people have about you? Just like the Marcus Brownie approach to reviewing, what's your brand reputation? Are you keeping promise? Now, how do you build this credibility? So that leads us on. Moving on now. The next one is this. I have a poll for you. In your opinion, what company has continued to execute on thought leadership publication in a way that builds credibility for your business? So I would like you to quickly get on that and quickly vote, and let's see. Is it McKinsey and Company? Is it Zappos? Is it Johnson & Johnson? Beautiful. I can see the result. The result says McKinsey and Company. next to 36% Johnson and Johnson, and next to Zappos. And that's beautiful. Next slide. And let me tell you something about Zappos a little bit. Zappos spend a lot of time with their customers. They spend a lot of time with their customers. You're talking about McKinsey and Company. You see, McKinsey and Company is one organization, one of the best consulting firms in the world that believes so much in thought leadership, right? That believes so much in collaboration, and that believes so much in training. So you see that their CEOs, their COOs are pushed, and they are leveraging on the agency of what is called thought leadership. And they spend lots of time with their customers building templates. So how do you build that? Number one, how to build business credibility, prioritizing customer focus. Don't forget that I've been talking about customer centrism for a while now, because you must learn to structure your operations to be able to serve an obsession over customer problems and their local nuances. And you see, you need to do this a lot of time, and above the attention your customers will typically invest in their obsession over their competitors. So every time you do that and your focus is on them, you are going to exceed expectations, because that obsession is got a very powerful way to uncover opportunities and gaps to serve the customers better than any customers will be structured to discover. So this means that you will constantly deliver high quality products and services that consistently surpass customer satisfaction from the market, because your business is structured to discover and act on their evolving, unmet, and underserved needs. So I think that is very, very important. A very good example, moving on, next slide, is to tell you a bit about Amazon. Amazon is very obsessed over their customers. You know, I spoke to you about Zappos just now, that they empower customer service representatives. They go beyond the norms, you know, to ensure that they exceed their customer satisfaction. Now, what's the effect on that? The approach has led to remarkably high customer satisfaction, positive word of mouth, and a loyal customer base willing to pay a premium for their experience. Remember, I told you that you can command premium pricing once you have business credibility. Let's move on very quickly. Number two, cultivating industry expertise. Let's talk about the mastery, the projection, and the collaboration. Look at this. Position your business, your CEO, and your C-suite leaders to become thought leaders. Remember, I talked about that just now. So learn to share knowledge and insight through industry publications. You can get yourself into publications, conferences, convenings, online platforms. And there are many platforms where you can do that. You know, you can find lots of them to be part of it. Now, you must conduct and publish original research. One thing we must learn to begin to do now is to begin to public research. It's because every time you public research, right, you are able to demonstrate your depth of knowledge and expertise. The outcomes here will be white papers, industry report, journals, and every other thing. I hope you can still hear me. If you can still hear me, write into the chat box here, I can hear you well. So let's be sure on the person whose audio is cut enough. Now, the third part of that is this. Thank you very much for the feedback. You must learn to collaborate with industry leaders, partner with other experts, and participate in collaborative projects to broaden your reach and benefit from the brand association. This, I told you that you can find that in McKinsey and Company. Yeah, moving on, next slide. McKinsey and Company is well positioned for that. They cultivate industry expertise very, very well. You see them publishing research reports, you know, talking about the industry trends, best practices. They also host convenings. Convenings are powerful. So you see them doing conferences that features experts, you know, and talented leadership content and programs across a spectrum of industry segments around the globe. Now, what has this done for McKinsey and Company? Very simple. This consistent knowledge sharing has established them as a trusted resource for business seeking insights and guidance, positioning them as thought leaders in the consulting industry. So you find out that when people want to get certain knowledge, you want to get accurate reports and journals, you tell yourself you can trust what McKinsey and company will give to you. And that's very important. Thought leadership, very important. Now, moving on, as we get into the next slide, let's talk about ethical conduct. Remember, we talked about brand reputation, ethical conduct, you know, and a few others. I want to talk to you a little bit more about ethical standard, you know, because not all businesses are ethical. And if you want to avoid problems for yourself, you must learn to be ethical. So for you to be ethical, you are upholding high ethical standards. You're conducting your business dealings with integrity, transparency, and with accountability. I repeat, integrity, transparency, and with accountability. So it also makes sense because not many businesses can operate with high ethical standards. So it means that any business that can operate with a strong ethical standard becomes an obvious advantage, right, to own and take competitive advantage of. So you are just going to be the king there because you are accountable and it is rare for them to see. A few things you can see there. I can talk to you a little bit more about Johnson & Johnson. Moving on to the next slide. You know, how Johnson & Johnson spent a lot of time prioritizing their safety over profit. And that's important. Now, let me show you something. During the Tylenol tampering crisis, Johnson & Johnson prioritized consumer safety over profit. They issued immediate public warnings, record all affected products, and cooperated fully with authorities. Simply say they were interested in what you would call safety over profit. Now, though they had crisis, what was the impact of that proactive measure that they took? Their commitment to transparency and prioritizing customer safety helped to build trust and demonstrated ethical values, ultimately preserving their reputation in the long run. Because once they see that there's a strong ESG standard, they know that, okay, this was just crisis that we handled and it did not affect them so much. Why? Because reputation is key. Are we making sense? Let's move to the next slide. Let's talk about how to properly communicate strategically. So strategic communication is one way to be able to build what is called a credible business. Now, in communicating strategically, you must be able to develop a clear brand message. So is your brand message clear? Does it confuse people? And in clarity, we're talking about resonance. The word there is resonance. And resonance alongside your vision, your mission, your core values, and also your target audience. It has to be clear. It has to be clear. You could be saying something beautiful and you can hear yourself that it is beautiful, but the people it's intended to get to, and they can't hear it. You know, so they can't hear it. And you're spending so much money in marketing, but they can't see it. So it means that your brand message is not clear. So, and if you are consistent with your message, you know, one of the things you will find out that it's going to reinforce the core essence and it helps to build credibility over time. So this is not a one-off effort. Like I said, a consistent effort. And so let's look at another case study, which is now Dove. Let's talk about Dove a bit. Dove talks about real beauty. And I'm sure you know about the Real Beauty campaign very, very well. You know, they challenged the standard of beauty. You see that now. So you find out that the impact on them was very simple. So they used authentic models and they did not use excessive photo editing to communicate their message. You know, they did their communication with inclusivity, with such empowerment. What did that do to them? The campaign that they did resonated with a broad audience, differentiating them from competitors. So they had so many competitors, you know, and who typically projected popular but flawed imagery on beauty and masculinity. This consistent brand messaging since 2007 has earned them recognition for advocating for positive social change. So you see that when you can communicate strategically with transparency, you can take over the market. Moving on, that's the story of Dove. I think it's something you can go check for yourself again. So learn to build strategic partnerships. Partnerships are very important. This is a 21st century survival language, which is called collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. When you can collaborate, it's going to help your business to improve credibility. You see that now. An entity with whom a business partner with gets a PR crisis, the chances of this happening are typically so low that it's always advisable to make the investment. What am I trying to say? Partnership can always bolster your business credibility. So you are very, very careful on strategic partnership. Don't build with companies that have PR crisis. Be very, very important. I mean, so I was going to talk about Airbnb in building that. Now, what they do is that they collaborate with local government and tourism boards. You know, they offer unique experiences and accommodations, you know, and they emphasize responsible tourism. But what's the impact on Airbnb? This partnership enhances the credibility of their platform, assuring local authorities contribute to the local economy and fostering trust and promoting sustainable tourism practice. And Airbnb, they do that so well. In fact, you find out that you'll see that there's taxable revenue for the government because of what they are doing, because of such partnership. And if you check the stakeholders involved in that. So invest in sustainability practices. And I've talked about ESG very strong, that you should be able to ensure that your ESG is strong, your CSR good. So you must think sustainability. You must think sustainability, because if you don't, it's going to limit you as an organization. So moving on to the next slide. Now let's talk about Patagonia, how they have invested in sustainability principles. So I didn't talk so much about it because I want to spend a little time on sustainability. Now, look at their CSR action. Patagonia prioritizes environmental responsibility by using sustainable materials, advocating for environmental protection, and implementing ethical labor practices throughout their supply chain. So that's what they do, better than new, as you can say. Now, what's the impact of that? This effort resonates with a growing market segment of environmentally cautious consumers, differentiating them from competitors who might not prioritize sustainability. So, but every time you mention Patagonia, they are seen as leaders in responsible business practices. They attract loyal customer base willing to pay a premium even for their product. So if you check the World Wares app, and in the Black Friday that they did in 2014, it was amazing to see the impact of such, because they were able to spend some more time on that, you know. And it's just like talking about DSTV. So every time DSTV wants to increase, they want to increase their prices, you know, they're going to show so much about their CSR, a lot of things that they have done, how they have impacted people. And after that, they'll show you businesses that they have helped. Then suddenly they can increase their prices, just to ensure that it's their vendor practice is well trimmed for their customers to see. Can we move to the next slide, please? So that helps us to understand. So my name is Akinpelu. You can connect with me across social media, particularly on LinkedIn. You can get my materials and everything that you need that will help you. A couple of books and you can get lots of information about me from Forbes. So we'll get to question and answer. Thank you very much for having me, Don and Bradstreet.
Thank you, Dr. Akin, for that insightful presentation in terms of credibility when it comes to standing out in business on a global stage. With the global focus shifting to Africa, and businesses are looking at transparent companies in Nigeria to do business with parts, as this gives your business an air database which is updated every 3.9 seconds. It can be seen that a new business is formed every 58 seconds. A company name change occurs every 15 minutes. And a business address changes every 15 seconds. How then can business owners assure potential customers that they can be trusted? And how can these potential customers be confident that the business owners are legitimate? In the global markets, the lack of transparency in online commerce is a serious barrier to growth. And this is why the DONS register seal is built to reinforce trust. This seal is a bold declaration that a business is dedicated to ethical practices, openness, and integrity. Having the DONS register seal stands a business out from competition as accurate and up-to-date information is displayed. This is very critical for potential clients who are seeking trustworthy information and transparency in their dealings. A business that has the DONS register seal enjoys stronger positive reputation, and this helps in winning customer confidence and enhancing business relationships. So, what does the DONS register seal offer? So, please ask for your questions. Dr. Akin will answer them. So he will attend to them later. So, what does the DONS register seal offer? The DONS register seal is an electronic mark displayed in the form of a logo on the website. The logo is not just an image. It's actually, in fact, you can click, it's a clickable logo. It's not an image. A simple click on the logo open up the business profile, which displays the information that we have verified and validated about the business. And there are three profiles to choose from. We have the basic DONS register seal, we have the comprehensive profile, and we have the premium profile. Let's see what each profile entails. So a click on the basic DONS register seal displays information about the company that we verified and validated. It shows the business address, the right contact person, and shows what the line of business of the company and the key employees, as well as your DONS number. Then if you're okay, I want to go for the comprehensive. If you want to go for the comprehensive seal, along with your company information, your contact person, your line of business, you can also upload two pictures of your company. You can include the pictures of your to attach with pictures as well. Now, okay, it's okay. I want to go for the premium instead. So for the line of business, you can upload up to 6 pictures. You can include pictures of your company and also the management staff. And you can also include management profile instead of just listing, okay, Dr. Akin, you can state the profile what Dr. Akin is into. So it actually opens you up to more opportunities as well. By becoming DONS registered, your company will receive a DONS number. This is a 9-digit number that is assigned to businesses. You also get a DONS register seal and a dynamic QR code. You get a floating seal. Then you get a DONS register profile, get a certificate, and you become listed on the Dun and Bradstreet Global Directory. Product use case. So the DONS register seal can be installed on the website, like I mentioned. There is a logo. You can see the two companies. We have two companies here. Pentan Logistics. Can you hear me, please? Okay. So we have Pentan Logistics and Awoyo Capital. These are companies that have installed the DONS register seal, as can be seen on their profile, on their website. You can see the logo at the bottom. So some companies install it at the top, some install at the bottom. The choice is yours. There's no limitation. Then for companies who do not yet have a website, you're not left out. There's something we call the floating seal, which you can install in your email signature, as can be seen here. So this QR code, all your potential customer needs to do is just to scan it. And a scan of this code displays information that was verified and validated on Dun& Bradstreet. That, that was verified and validated about your company. Okay. So, and this seal cannot just be, it's not only for online marketing materials, you can also use it for your offline materials, like your business cards, your letterheads and envelope, your flyer, and your brochure. So having this seal opens you to business opportunities, and it doesn't, it's not just for online marketing, you can also use it for offline marketing, as can be seen on these slides. So now, time for questions and answers. So you can send your questions through the chat box. or indicate with a show of hand, and Dr. Akin will attend to it. Yeah, please. Okay, so we have a question now from. Sorry, so, okay, we have a question from Deborah. Dr. Akin, please, are you here? Dr. Akin, can you hear us? This question is for you, please.
Yes, I can hear you
So she's
perfect.
asking, how okay. So she's asking, how does an oil and gas servicing company partner with IOCs and a supplier, especially when it is a bit difficult to get contacts to relate with within these IOCs?
I can hear you well.
Then, Akin, did you get the question?
Can you recapitulate? I didn't hear you well.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So we have a question from Deborah Asekome, and she's asking how an oil and gas servicing company partner with IOCs as a supplier, especially when it's a bit difficult to get contacts to relate with within these IOCs.
Okay, so how they can partner, how they can partner with them. So I always say that
Yes.
yeah, I can hear you. I always say that every big door is got a key, and no matter how big a padlock is, there's also a key for it. So I would say that it is possible for you to partner with them by striking relationships. If you go the other way, you would have to do so much of documentation, and it could take some time. So I believe one of the ways that you can close time is to ensure that that's to be able to ensure that you do it fast. Create a relationship. There must be somebody very close to you somewhere. I mean, we're like 2 or 3 people away from anything that we need in the world. I think we should be able to work with that and be able to get that done. So it's something you can speak to Don and Bradstreet about, and we can talk about that after now. It's doable. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Akin, for that. So we have another question from Ekene Ikeji, and he's asking, how does non-profit organization registered in Nigeria build confidence to attract international non-profits for partnership?
Okay, so I'll first talk about the place of your due diligence and the place of strategic positioning. Now, due diligence is number one, as an NGO registered, you know, do you get your accounting right? Are your papers good? Financial papers good? Do you have good structure? When I mean structure, I mean, is there already a position and a direction? You have your vision, mission. Are you communicating what you're doing outside the way you should do it? Because if you are going to attract international organizations, fundings, and grants, it's all about storytelling. The most important thing there is storytelling. How are you telling your stories? Are you telling your stories well? So you can be doing something very powerful and nobody sees you. So I always say that where you are determines who sees you, and what follows you. So you will see somebody who may not be doing as much as you are doing, but they can tell their stories well. So if you have to employ somebody or contract somebody who can help you tell your story in the most appropriate way, then you can get attention and you can get funding and you can be strategically positioned. So I think my word there is just going to be storytelling. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Akin. So we have a question from Olado Tunkoka, and he's asking, how does a company with credibility compete with competitors who get jobs by engaging in a sharp practice vis-a-vis the language of the business environment? Did you get that question, Dr. Akin, or should I repeat it?
Please kindly recapitulate.
How does a company with credibility compete with competitors who get jobs by engaging in sharp practices vis-a-vis the language of the business environment?
Okay, so by sharp practices, I guess you mean PR, right? For the purpose of words.
Yes.
Yeah. I would say that, you see, interestingly, that happens everywhere and not just in Africa. But I will first advise you to spend more time with your customers than your competitors. One of the greatest distractions that people have had is that they are studying their competitors. As they are studying their competitors and making moves, as the competitors are making moves, you are losing depth in your retainership. If you spend all your time, almost all your time, you see, spending it on your customers, you will know what they want, what they need, grow their loyalty. Your customers are going to be your reference point for the things you would have been wanting from the other person who's getting it sharply. I am not saying don't focus on competitors. I'm just saying that let your focus on your customers be more, and this is by research. Let it be higher than how much you focus on your competitors. You see, for the sharp approach and all of that, if you're building credibility, we're talking about integrity and we're talking about transparency. You must be able to find another way to crack it and get it out without a sharp practice. And I can tell you that you can get a lot of that creative juice only when you are focusing on your customers. I'll say that. But it is better for you to build a credible business and to go for sharp practices just because of profit. At the end of the day, you're not ethical. Let's think ethics. Let's think ethical standard. Let's be held to high ethical standards. Thank you.
Yes, I agree with you, Dr. Akin. Thank you so much. Thank you. So there's a question from Tomiwa, and Tomiwa wants to know how Nigerian businesses can easily register for the DONS number. So Tomiwa, I assure you that the process to getting a DONS number in Nigeria is not very seamless. So I'll reach out to this meeting to tell you the required documents to be provided. So I also have a questions. I have a question from Oluchi uh, Sunday. So Oluchi is asking, when you register for the Dawn and Bradstreet number, do you automatically get the Dawn's and Bradstreet seal as well? No, Oluchi. You get the Dawn's number when you get the Dawn's register seal, and not you getting the seal. So basically, when you become Dawn's register, like I mentioned, you get the Dawn's number, you get a seal. But if you're going for the DONS number, you do not just get the seal. You have to request to become DONS registered, and this gives you a seal and a number as well. Getting the number alone does not automatically give you the seal. You have to request for it. Okay, so okay, let's check. Please keep sending in your questions. We still have time. Dr. Akin is here to answer some more questions. Please send in your questions. Is do you have anybody raising up his or her hands? Please, can you confirm that nobody's okay? We have some. Okay. Opeyemi, please go ahead. Ope- Opeyemi, you can ask your question now. Okay, I think Opeyemi is not available to answer. Please type in your questions. Okay. Okay, Ebe, you're asking if the recording will be shared after the meeting. Definitely, definitely, you get the recording after the meeting. Okay. Please keep asking. Okay. Keep sending in your questions. So we have Uche Chidi. Please go ahead.
A very good morning.
Hi, Uche. Good morning.
Thank you very much for this very impactful section. My question is, with the present Nigeria standards and the current stress in getting contracts, as a small growing business, what would be your advice in accessing some of these big companies, organizations, maybe not IOC for the start, to get to do something with them? Because how can you really how can they really dictate if you are working with credibility and integrity without first giving you an opportunity? So how do we access opportunity in this very tough Nigerian sector? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Uche. Dr. Akin, over to you, please.
All right. Thank you, Uche Chidi, for that. So in accessing opportunities, I will share with you 2 to 4 points that can help you. Number one is prepare for opportunities. So how prepared are you for opportunities as a person? Your corporate governance, your ESG, everything, how prepared are you? That's number one. Now, number two is if you're prepared for opportunity, now, can you recognize opportunities? So in the place of recognition, there's something we call the PRS. There is something you must activate as a business person, which is called the personal recognition system, to say that I will go to places where I recognize such opportunities are. I will go to places where I can find people, systems that can give me opportunities. Then number three is this: don't just hang around it. Do your best to ensure that you can ask for opportunities. Some people prepare for opportunities. Some people hang around opportunities. Many people don't ask for opportunities. The real action point there for you is asking for opportunities. When you ask for opportunities, interestingly, you may get a no. No means next opportunity. I get to me. I can tell you, out of every 5 years I've gotten, I probably would have gotten like 45 no's. But ask for it. You know, when you ask for it, you are able to activate the potential of a transaction to see what can happen. Sometimes we are all at a potential state and we cannot tell the transactions that can happen because we ask for opportunities. So sometimes in trying to grow big, and nobody will just grow big every way, anyhow. I think the real thing is that you're going to grow at your pace, but you have to be smart enough to get yourself into the rooms where you can ask for opportunities. If there's anything you must remember, there's a room where all these things happen. And in that room, do all you can, build relationships, get into those rooms, ask for opportunities. And when you ask for opportunity number 4, do well to maximize it properly, credibly, and with integrity and transparency. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Akin. So we have Christiana Udo. Please go ahead with your question. Christiana. Christiana, you can go ahead. Okay. Please keep sending in your questions. You can use the chat box as well. Okay, Temidayo Odeneyi. Sorry for that. You can go ahead with your question. Temidayo Odeneyi. Temidayo, are you here?
Hello, Christiana. Is Christiana
Hi.
online?
Hi.
Okay. Good
Okay,
morning.
Christiana. Okay, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good
Good
morning.
morning. Thank
Please,
you.
I want to know, is there any difference between getting a DON certificate number and DON seal? Because right now, this is my first time hearing about DON seal. I've not been in DON seal portal. And what are the procedure, the steps to get registration in DON seal?
Okay, so thank you so much, Christina, for that question. So your DONS number is a 9-digit number that is assigned to the business, shows that your business exists. Then the DONS register seal is a credibility seal. It shows that you do not just exist, but you're credible. So if someone searches for your website online, you see the DONS register logo. on your website. As I showed you on that on my slide, the logo shows that okay, this company is credible. I can do business with this company. So the difference is that the DUNS number is a 9-digit number that shows your business exists. The DUNS register is a credibility seal that shows that you do not just exist, but you're credible. And for the requirement, I'll share that with you after this meeting. I'll share that with you, Christiana. Does that answer your question? Do we still have Christiana? Okay, so I have a question now from Wilson. So Wilson wants to know more about the DUNS register. He said my company had DUNS number for about 5 to 6 years now through Seplar Energy. How do we proceed with DUNS register seal? Okay, Mr. Wilson. So I'll share the requirements after this webinar. It's a very, very simple process. There are some forms to be filled. There are some documents to be provided. And as soon as that is done, you get your seal within 7 business days. There's no delay. Okay. So do you have another question? Okay. Is anybody raising up? Have we answered? Temi Dayos. Okay. Who do we have there? Cristobal Ajagba. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Please go ahead with your question.
Hello.
Cristobal, please. Okay.
Yeah, hello, good morning. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the presentation. Well, it is not really a question. I wanted to say something about the person that talked about opportunity. Incidentally, there was a book that I read by incidentally it's by Dr. Akin that talk about that gave some answers about this question. So I would suggest the person read that book. It's about networking. So the person that asked the question about opportunity, I would suggest you read.
Okay, thank you, Cristobal. Thank you so much. Okay, so who do we have online again? Who do we have here? Let's see. Please keep sending in your questions. Dr. Akin is eager to answer all your questions. Whose hand is raised up again? Okay. So we have Uchechi. Are you still raising up your hand? Do you have an okay? All right. So do you have any question in the chat box? Ikene Ikeji, do you have another question? I can see your hand is still up. Please go ahead with your question.
Yeah, thank you very much, the host. My name is
You're welcome.
Engineer Ikeji Ekene. You know, before now I've tried to register with for down sale, and at a point, I discovered that the cost is quite on the high side for some of us that are trying to start up a new business or going into a new business. And my question is there anything that can be done for startup companies, to at least subsidize the cost and, encourage them to register and be able to get the sale and the certificate as well? Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Engineer KG. So, because we know we have companies that are startups, we have companies that are more established. That is why we have the basic, the comprehensive, and the premium. So, they all come at a different price. Can you hear me? Okay, so we have the basic, we have the premium, we have the comprehensive. So after this meeting, I'll reach out to you. I'll send you an email. So you see the category you fall under. But I assure you, getting the basic, getting the comprehensive, getting the pre, you still get the service you deserve, you still get your credibility displayed. Okay, so we'll have okay. We have Doris Ogbonna. The floor is yours. Please go ahead with your question. Doris, we can't hear you. Okay, so hello, Doris, are you there? Okay, well, so thank you so much for your time. Uh, Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking our time to join. And we hope you've learned one or two things on how to establish your credibility. The webinar recording will be sent after this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. And you can, if you want to reach out to the speaker, please don't forget to send us an email, info_Nigeria@dnbsame.com. You can also send your questions as well. And questions to Dr. Akin, questions to Jennifer, send it to info_Nigeria@dnbsame.com. And I'll sure you get prompt response. Thank you so much for your time. Okay, so before I take a bow, our country manager is here, Mr. Womo. Mr. Womo, please, the floor is yours. Let's hear something from our country manager, Mr. Womo. Mr. Womo, you're on mute.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Or I think we're still in the morning. Dr. Akin, thank you so much for the time you've taken to enlighten us today. For our participants, it's always a pleasure to host you. And we hope that you've gained enough knowledge on how to constantly remain competitive and how to constantly give value to your partners, which includes, of course, your customers, your clients, and you could say even you could argue government regulators, right? In our society, we know we have a lot of issues with different regulatory bodies. So ensuring that your company is above board all the time keeps them at bay. So once again, thank you for the time you've taken to spend with us, and I wish every one of us a pleasant, happy Easter and Ramadan Kareem.
Thank you so much, Mr. Womo. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.